room. Your body shimmers in that little black dress as you walk across the room. Now I've got nothing left to say. I've got one thing on my mind. You still take my breath away.
Okay, so probably a month, bit over a month ago, something like that. Maybe I was around town. I was went into a shop, had a look for something. I was looking for something musical, and so I went into this really tiny music shop, and they just happened to have a certain guitar in there. I went looking for something else, and then and I come across this guitar. They had a guitar in there, and it was on sale, really great price. And it was a small. It was one of those mini matins, like those half-size matins that you get. And I looked at it, I thought, I would love this guitar. I've always wanted one, and I thought it was there, and it was like I said, it wasn't a bad price at all. And I thought I should get that guitar. And then all I could hear was my wife saying why in my head. I'm sitting thinking, yep, I could imagine her saying, why are you getting another guitar? And I thought the problem is I already have several guitars. So she's always like, well, you can't play them all at once. And I think, yeah, but I can. I like having guitars, even if they are just sitting there sometimes, and I really just play one or two, or one at the moment. But I like the fact that I have other guitars that I can play if I want to. So anyway, I really liked this guitar. I wanted this guitar. All I could think of is my wife saying, "You don't need another guitar, Jay." So I walked out and I thought, well, it'll be there. This probably won't sell. Um, you know, one of these guitars like this in the town where I am, it's probably not going to sell. And I thought, well, I'll come back. I'll come back. I convinced myself that I could wait. So anyway, I'm in town yesterday. I go into the shop. I thought, stuff this. I'm going to go buy this guitar, and you know, just maybe I just won't tell my wife. I'll just buy it. I'll play it. Will she even notice? She'll just think it's one of the guitars I've already got anyway. And as long as I, as long as she doesn't notice the spare another case laying around. Anyway, I go into the shop. The guitar's gone. Lady goes, yeah, nah, it was a nice guitar. Someone's bought it. And I walked out. I thought, you know what? I should have just bought the guitar. And that saying came to me. Sometimes it's better to seek forgiveness than ask permission. And which I'm not saying is the best saying, but that did come to me. I thought, yep, Jay, that's what I should have done. When I saw the guitar, I should have just thought, yep, I should have just bought the guitar and said, well, sorry, babe, I bought another guitar. Um, it's too late. I've got it. I own it. It's an investment. What can I say? But I didn't. So I'm walking out yesterday thinking, yep, I should have asked forgiveness. I should have been seeking forgiveness than asking permission. Then I would have had another guitar. I would have had one of those mini Matins. Oh, I played it too while I was in the shop. It was good. It was a good guitar. I'll have to go get another one. Anyway, so I was reading this article. I thought this is exactly what the government are doing. You remember a few weeks ago, I think it was I did an episode, and it's about how Australia is struggling with housing at the moment, and also employment in some areas. Okay, um, and the problem is the government is just allowing more and more immigrants in. And like I said, there's nothing. I think Australia needs immigration. However, the way Australia is doing it at the moment, I mean, they've allowed something like it's over 500,000 new migrants within a really short time frame. I think it was within a 2 year time frame. I think it might have been up just under 600,000 actually. And I thought, man, this is ridiculous. You can't sit there saying we have a housing shortage, uh, and then you're continually allowing this amount of new migrants to come into the land, into the country. And then you sit there and blame everything else on the housing shortage. It's, everything else other than the fact that you're letting hundreds of thousands of new people into the country. And then they sit up and they go, oh, we'll have to look into it. They're like Windows. They're always looking into it. But the thing is, it dawned on me. This is what they're doing. They're, well, I'll read the article. I'll read the article. So this headline here says, it really is a scam. University of Sydney professor hits out at international student rort. Okay. So a landmark report by the property industry which argued international students are to blame, not to blame, they're saying, for the housing crisis has been slammed by an expert highlighting how simple math in the study's own figures appear to contradict one of its key claims. The report released late last month by the Student Accommodation Council, part of the National Property Council lobby group. Okay, so in other words, these are people that make money. They make money out of these reports and painting a good picture on things. So don't anyway. They said that international students had unfairly worn the blame for Australia's rental crisis, but they were not the cause, they said, either of rising rents or low vacancies, making up just 4% of renters nationwide. In fact, a far bigger impact on rental housing availability has been the post-COVID trend to work from home. Oh, yeah, okay. How does that make a difference? Seriously, you already had a place to live, and so what you're gonna work from the place from your house. How does that? It makes no sense. This is what Student Accommodation Council Executive Director Tory Brown wrote in an opinion piece for the Herald Sun. So he's just gaslighting us, telling us basically you're all a bunch of nufties, you don't understand anything. It's really because people have decided to work from home that we have this shortage of accommodation, which makes absolutely no sense. Anyway, we need to grow the amount of student accommodation to provide greater housing options for students without forcing them to compete for private rentals. It's time to stop pointing the finger at international students and instead point it at ourselves. However, University of Sydney Associate Professor Salvatore Babones, that's a great name, Salvatore Babones, and a vocal critic of the sector who has labelled the international student market a scam, said the report had unintentionally made an incredible admission. Their own statistics damn them, Professor Babones told news.com. Then what have we got here? So this is the actual reports. These are the figures. International students are concentrated. Okay. So if you go to page 15, it says 13 of this is of the report. Okay. So he's saying if you go to page 15, it says 13 out of 556 local government areas have international students that exceed 10% of the rental market. That's huge. And in 73% of LGAs, the concentration is under 1%. That means in 27% of LGAs, which are virtually all in capital cities, not rural areas, the concentration is over 1%. Well, what is the rental vacancy rate? It's 1%. You get that? So the concentration is over 1% in 27% of LGAs in all these capital cities. And that's the vacancy rate is only 1%, which means if there were no international students in 27% of LGAs, the rental availability by a very rough cut, according to their analysis, would double. And that's only for LGAs where the concentration is 1%. For those that are above 10% or up at 24%, that's incredibly warping to the rental market. The Student Accommodation Council report identified Adelaide and Burwood as the LGAs with the highest concentration of international student renters at 24%, followed by Melbourne at 21.8%, Strathfield on 17.6%, Bayside on 15.8%, and Sydney on 14.6%, Perth, Hobart, Monash, Georges River, Kenning-Cumberland, and Whitehorse were all above 10%. They didn't do the simple maths that Professor Babones said. In their mind, they were showing that international students had no impact on the rental market. They didn't realize their own data they're promoting actually contradicts their claims. It's because that is because they treat us, the general public, like we're idiots. They've just decided it's better for them if they ask forgiveness at a later date rather than beg permission now. That's all they've done. They don't want to tell everyone what's going on. They don't want to admit what's going on, even though the figures bear out exactly what's happening. And even though we all know what's happening because we're not the fools that they think we are, that they treat us like. Everyone can see that, we've got a housing shortage, and it's because we have all these international students, all these new migrants coming into the land, but they treat us like fools anyway. But this is what they're doing. They're simply going to do what they want, and then later down the track, when it's all too late, then they say, "Oh, yep, we made a mistake. Please forgive us," and then give us another term. Please forgive us, and can you vote for us again? We'll promise we'll fix it in the future. But by then it's too late. They've already got it. Anyway, let me know what you think. I'm Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Get my head down